Did you guys know that in South Korea there is a place where you don't have to pay taxes or do the military duty? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In the last video we visited the city called Paju and I showed you some artistic and cultural places that you can visit there. But Paju is actually most famous for the Demilitarized Zone. So from Paju you can visit the DMZ. And in this video we are going to do exactly that. How can you get to the Demilitarized Zone? You can book a tour or you go by yourself to Paju and visit the Imjingak Peace Park. This is a memorial park which shows basically many things that happened especially after the separation of the two Koreas. For example, you can see there the so-called peace train. That's a train that was running over the Imjingak River from South Korean area over this river to North Korea, but at some point during the Korean War it was damaged a lot, and I think it even stayed in the DMZ for some time until it was brought back to South Korea, and now it's like a memorial piece in this park that you can see there. Close to this train there are also many colorful ribbons that you will see there, which are showing prayers or just wishes from people who want the two Koreas to unificate. Another thing that you can see, or better say here, there is the 30 Years Lost song. In the year 1983 there was a program which tried to unify families from North and the South, and as long as I know there were actually planned only like a one episode or a few episodes to do that, but it was such a, I wouldn't say it was a success maybe, but it was probably, there was a need for this kind of program. So many people wanted to find their family members who stayed in the north that this program ran for many episodes, many hours. I think more than 450 hours, and more than 10,000 people were reunified, and this song was the song for this program. And you can listen to the song in the Imjingak Park. But there are also many more things that you can see. There is also a cable car going over the river, but the touristic center is basically where you can buy tickets to go to the DMZ, or kinda DMZ. You can rather book a guide there, so like a guided tour. As long as I know, the guide is like an extra, or you can just buy tickets for a bus to go on this tour. The ticket were, I think, between 9 and 12,000 won. What you need for that, first of all, please check the schedule for the buses. I think the buses were only running until early afternoon, so better to come pretty early and book your tickets. Then you need an ID. If you have a Korean residence card, you can use that one. At least that's what it's saying on the official website. Or you need your passport otherwise, because they're checking the passport at a checkpoint before you are entering this area. You are taking a bus to go to the DMZ and you're crossing the river over the bridge. When you're on the bus and you're crossing the river and you're stopping at the checkpoint, you're not allowed to take any pictures or any videos. Also at the park, by the way, there are some areas where you are not allowed to make any recording, so please be careful where you are taking pictures or videos. When you are at the checkpoint, military people will get on the bus and check your ID or your passport. It's a very short procedure, so they're really just checking if nothing wrong is with your passport. You can just pass, it takes just a few minutes. One thing I think that many people are confused of is actually the area where they are going. You are not entering the DMZ itself on this tour. After the checkpoint behind the river, there is the civilian control line, so where the tourists can still go. And then the next one is already the demilitarized zone. Then you have the South Korean part of demilitarized zone, the actual border, and then you have the North Korean part of the demilitarized zone. On this tour, you're not entering the demilitarized zone itself, but you are visiting 3 places on your way there, which are partly very close to it. So the 3 places that you're visiting are, first of all, the 3rd tunnel, then the Dora Observatory, and the Tongilchon town. The 3rd tunnel, what is it? In 1978, South Koreans noticed that there are secret tunnels which are going underneath the demilitarized zone from the north to South Korea. They noticed it because they heard or saw some explosions under the earth. It took them like 4 months to find some secret tunnels. The 3rd tunnel is basically one of the famous ones, and you can actually visit it and go inside the tunnel. Don't be afraid, it's just until a specific point, until where you can go. After that, it's like completely closed and observed, and like you can just not pass. And furthermore, through the demilitarized zone itself, there are more security points inside the tunnel. But if you know a bit the history of the tunnel, it sounds a bit scary because 30,000 people could come in an hour. And people thought this tunnel was made to secretly infiltrate South Korea and specifically attack Seoul, the capital. Nowadays, it's like completely sealed. You can rather take a monorail into the tunnel. You will have to wear a helmet. The tunnel is 73 meters under the earth, so it goes pretty deep down. But the monorail is going through a super narrow tunnel, so you have to sit like this. So if you're afraid of narrow spaces, I would rather avoid the monorail. The other option is just to walk down. That's a bit better because the tunnel is made much bigger. So you can just go down, which looks very surreal actually, because it's like a really super long tunnel just going completely down into the earth. There is like nothing on the left or right. You're just going down, down, down. You cannot really see an end to that. Just a gray tunnel, and that's it. But at some point you reach the end, and then you can see that the tunnel was not finished because the South Koreans found it before it was finished. So it kind of looks like a mine. Partly you really have to like go like this and then take care of your head that you don't hit the ceiling. That's why you need a helmet there. It is not allowed to make any recordings or take any pictures inside the tunnel. The second place that you're visiting is the Dora Observatory. It is placed on the Dora-san, on the mountain Dora. From there, you have a beautiful view to North Korea, so over the DMZ to North Korea. There are also binoculars that you can use, so you can really see villages there. You can see the huge North Korean flag on the other side. You can recognize the small villages there, although it is said that one of the villages is more like a propaganda town. It's not even real, and the buildings are totally empty and like there is nothing inside. That's what I heard and read. But you can also see some people from North Korea like riding by bike or working on the fields or walking. If the site is good and the air is clear, you can see over to North Korea. And the third place you will visit on this tour is the Tongilchon town. It's an agricultural town. It was built in 1973 as a strategic point to reclaim some wasteland and use it for food production mostly. The first citizens for this town were very, very strictly chosen because so many people wanted to get some land and to work, etc. After the war, of course, there were so many applicants, so they had to choose really carefully, very strictly who can go there. Like the person had to complete the military service and be married with children, be healthy, for example, have no criminal record, and some other things. So it was a really strict election of people who could have moved there at that time. Now there is a shop that you're usually visiting as a tourist there, so you can buy local food there and local things there made from the kind of DMZ area. If you want to go really into the DMZ, so really into this area, there is one possibility to do that, and that's the only one. There is the place called Panmunjom. Panmunjom is kind of the neutralized area where people from the north and the south can meet. For example, also the reunification of the families, I think, was also taking place there. But for example, also the North and South Korean president were meeting there in the past. That's kind of the neutral area between the both countries. Panmunjom is exactly at the border, so there is like this line with North Korean part and South Korean part, and they are also doing sometimes tour there, so you can buy tickets or tours to go there, but you have to check it properly beforehand because it's not always offered. If you know when you come to Korea, it's good to check beforehand. You also cannot just buy tickets spontaneously there, so you should plan this some days or maybe even weeks beforehand. And you should also check if you belong to a country which needs an additional background check. So for some countries, they demand a background check, which also takes a few days. If you want to visit there, you should definitely plan this very properly. And an interesting thing, in the DMZ there is really one town on the South Korean side where people are living and working. And it's not for military, it's really a proper real town with just normal people living there. And it's very, very close to Panmunjom and the Korean border itself. Because of the unique circumstances in this city, so because they're living in such a dangerous area, and there are always the danger that they could be infiltrated or attacked, and there's so much military around them, so they're really paying attention to them. The town is guarded very hard. Due to all those circumstances, the people living there don't have to pay tax, first of all, and the men also don't have to do the military duty, so they are exempt from the military duty. So now you're probably thinking, why don't people just move there, especially men, move there, live there for some years, and when the military duty time is over, then they go back. The residency in this town is only limited to the descendants of this town. So you cannot just move there and live there. So that is forbidden. You can marry into the community, but only women can do that. Only women can marry into this community and move to the town. Men are not allowed to do that because of the military duty. So I found that super interesting. I hope you found this DMZ trip very unique. I found it super interesting. I would like actually to go there once again because I didn't really discover a lot at the Imjingak Park. I would like to see even more of it. I kind of just saw some parts, but I didn't read all the information. So I hope you enjoyed this travel, and maybe one day you will also visit the Demilitarized Zone or the civilian control line, or maybe you've already been there. Most likely I didn't tell you everything. I don't know everything, but if you have any further interesting facts or information, please write them in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video and see you next time. Bye!